What's up everyone? After 13 years, Kimi ni Todoke made a comeback. And today, I'm not only going to be reviewing season 3, but also the show. So a lot of people will think that Kimi ni Todoke is a romance anime, and they're not completely wrong. But you can also say it's a coming-age tale about a girl who's not only looking for a romantic partner, but friends and new connections. Someone who wants to get out of her isolated bubble and change, figure out what to do in her life, and by doing so, she changes the people around her, even if she thinks it's the other way around. Her honesty and pure-heartedness is the reason the other characters want to get closer to her. I mean, spoiler alert, but even her high school teacher, Pin, recognizes this growth and tells how she influenced others. And finally, I think it tackles communication above all else, not only in romance, but in dealing with bullies, rivals, friends, parents, teachers, even teaching yourself, breaking misunderstandings and misconceptions, going through walls and barriers, being honest and true to yourself, always trying your best, what to say, what not to say. These are the kind of themes that encompass Kimi ni Todoke Season 1 and Season 2. We see Sawako, the main character, dealing with bullying, rumors, isolation, loneliness. Yet despite all of these hardships, she kept making the effort to reach out to other people. And by meeting Kazehaya, Chizuru, Ayane, and many others, she learns more about her world and gains more of a social life. So what does Season 3 tackle? So it's definitely different. The first two were mainly focused on Sawako, and while she's a good character, it's nice to see the show now delve more into the psychology of the others. We do get to see how Sawako and Kazehaya's new relationship evolves over time, although sometimes it's a rocky road, but it all pretty much gets resolved at the very end, so I'm not gonna really delve into that. I guess it's cool that they got to meet each other's families. Often the dads were really tough on them. It'll all make sense later once you see the drama between Kazehaya and his dad. But I liked how Kazehaya and Sawako got to see new sides to each other. So now let's look at Chizuru and Ayane's stories. So it all starts with a school trip to Okinawa. It's a great change of environment. People are taking pictures, visiting aquariums, hanging out at the beach, staying in hotels, but it's also where a lot of drama happens. Chizuru learns that Ryu was asked out and never told her, which stings her because she thought they were like siblings and told each other everything. However, after that same rejected girl comes with her friends to bully Chizuru into staying away from Ryu, her entire friendship with Ryu is called into question and it pisses her off. She stays pissed at the girl and Ryu because he continues being so secretive about who he likes, and I think deep down she fears that it's her. So she just kind of avoids him, and Sawako and Ayane realize there's something wrong. Turns out they're alright, Ryu likes her, and it kind of turns into a shit show. The entire time, she had thought of him as a brother figure, and she doesn't want to change that. So to hear him declare that their years of friendship was always built on feelings he had never shared, basically a whole lie, was devastating for her. She always had a crush on Ryu's older brother, but there's more to her past with Ryu, and we finally see more insight into that. Ryu's mother was revealed to have passed in a car accident when Ryu was in 3rd grade, and for a long time, Ryu wasn't even letting out his emotions until Chizuru came by and helped him process his grief. Dealing with the death of a family member or friend or someone you love is very horrible stuff, and I never expected Kimi ni Todoke to tackle these issues. The guilt of smiling when your loved one is dead, the nights the entire family can't sleep, and Ryu's pain, his elder brother understanding it, and Chizuru's promise to stay by him was necessary. However, the way she viewed their bond was not the same way he did. All of it just hits hard. Once again, it's completely understandable why Chizuru does not like Ryu acting like their friendship wasn't built on all that history. I also completely understand how Ryu feels too. While I do understand that they are eventually to get together, I actually feel conflicted. People like Ayane were like, they should get together already, and what's wrong with her, but like, it's pretty complicated. And speaking of Ayane, she's a character who's never really been explored that much until this season. We know that she had some bad relationships in the past, but her mindset is definitely not like her friends. Despite being very helpful and seemingly mature, she's also very secretive. Before the class trip, a random dude in her grade asks her out. We see her give him a chance, initially at least. However, over the course of the school trip, it quickly becomes clear that this guy is only out for her body. And furthermore, she shows no interest in him either. So yeah, these scenes are a little uncomfortable to watch. When she eventually figures out that he was just using her, she immediately breaks it off. But being in toxic relationships isn't new to her, and she tries to act like she doesn't care. But the damage to her self-esteem has already been done, which is where Kento enters the picture, and we finally get more insight into what is on Ayane's mind. She's never dated anyone because she liked them. She's internalized all her unhealthy romantic relationships and started to think there's something wrong with her, and she's been so desensitized to it that she thinks it's normal. Nevertheless, when she sees Sawako and Chizu, she wishes she could be like them. Ayane just doesn't understand love the way they do. And Ayane is especially envious of Sawako, as they're living totally different lives. Later, she even tells Sawako this, and opens up about how she ultimately is kind of a lonely soul. Not only in a romantic way, but in general. Looking back on all of her relationships in life, the only two real people she's actually opened up to are Sawako and Chizu. And this brings Sawako to tears because Ayane has always been there for her and Chizuru when needed. Yet somehow she's not even sure if those friendships are genuine and if she's capable of love at all because she just feels like a horrible person. So yeah, ultimately this scene is about Sawako crying because Ayane doesn't realize the absolute queen that she is due to her lack of self-worth. And I think Sawako also realizes that no one can convince Ayane to start liking herself except Ayane. I mean, definitely Kento can be the proper and loving partner that she deserves, but even he's just yet another guy who she's just feeling obligated to go out with. It doesn't mean she likes him, and it doesn't mean that he can convince her to like herself. Even after they get together, she's uncertain about whether she truly wanted to, or if this relationship is the easy way out. Which gets into spoiler territory, but clearly this is more complex than a girl trying to find the right guy. Now, I personally never really liked Kento. I don't think he's a bad dude, but when I read the manga, I never really understood why he started liking her to begin with. Other than the fact that she cried and showed vulnerability that one time, there's not really much about her that I would sense he liked. And one moment ago, he had liked Sawako, which I found kind of annoying. So quickly moving on to Ayane made little sense to me. But I understand his narrative purpose in the story. He's one part of the puzzle to helping Ayane get over her self-hatred, immaturity, and helping her find herself because that's her problem at the end of the day, even if Sawako realizes it a little too late. So yeah, everything ends with a climatic Christmas party. There's some stuff about Ryu giving Chizu a rose. Kento does the same thing, and also beats the shit out of the guy who treated her poorly. And then also some random stuff about what they'll be doing in 10 years. And actually, spoiler alert, but this is mentioned a couple times in the manga itself. Even the parents are wondering about how time passes in the blink of an eye and how their daughter is growing up and will soon be off to college. All the friends gather at Sawako's house to hang out. There's a montage where Sawako realizes once again how far she has come from isolation. Pretty much it for season 3. Pin does appear. He shows himself to be a much better teacher than ever shown hidden depth to him that's previously not been explored. Normally he's the rambunctious comic relief, but he does actually have a personality. He does talk to Sawako about how he is always looking after, observing the students. And he does actually back it up this season. For instance, he acts like a responsible adult and ends a fight. If there's a season 4, he will play more of a role. Kurumi also has a very short cameo. I didn't really like that part, but once again, if there's a season 4, she will return for sure because she also plays a pretty big role. So that's pretty much it. Did I like it? Yes. Is it perfect? No. Though once again, no show is, and this is one from the late 2000s, so it makes sense if there's difference in opinion. Another thing I liked about the season was about how the endings were different each episode. The episodes are longer, but the number of them are shorter. I'm pretty sure that if we get a season 4, it will end the manga and cover everything. If there's one more additional thing that I would have liked to see unrelated to the main story, it might have been Kazehaya and Ryu's friendship. We always see how the 3 girls are super close friends, but since Kimi ni Todoke is a story that talks about the human experience, I would have liked to see a similar dynamic between Kazehaya and Ryu, especially considering that they had known one another since elementary school. I know this is catered to a shoujo demographic, so I understand if they want to focus on female friendship, but still. Nevertheless, I would definitely recommend this to anyone interested in seeing the continuation of Kimi ni Todoke. Sometimes scenes drag out, but of course this is an anime that takes its time. It's a slow burn. It's a slice of life, and I think that's one of its greatest strengths. Thanks for watching. If you had any thoughts on season 3, feel free to like, subscribe, or comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.